her morning work, Ranga receives no pay, but instead has to wait at the entrance to the upper caste villager's house, where she is given a simple meal of chapati, rice and dal. She is not allowed to enter, and under no circumstances must their bowls ever touch.
There is this great fear of being polluted, and the thing that they're being afraid of being polluted by is feces. And so untouchables, by their birth, by the bad luck of their birth, are the people delegated to deal with this material.
To the upper caste, the untouchables have become the feces that they are forced to handle.
And that's why untouchables can't use the community wells, because if an untouchable touched the well or took the water out with his or her cup, that would be the equivalent to putting feces in that well.
The Dalits, it seems, can never win. Born as untouchables, they are destined to deal with India's waste products. But dealing with feces demeans them in the eyes of other Indians and justifies their continued subjugation.
There is one way the others define you, and there is another way you define yourself. The others call you, for example, you are a scavenger, you are an untouchable, you are an impure, you are a polluted man. And you also define yourself in the same manner. You are also saying to yourself, look, yes, because of my karma or something that has happened to me, my fate, I am an untouchable, I am impure, I am polluted. So that is why I do not have a self-image. I do not consider myself a human being.
In a desperate bid to escape the worst effects of caste, millions of Dalits have migrated to the cities. But here, disgust's dehumanizing effect is even more damaging. Treated as subhuman by others, and with little self-esteem themselves, they are crammed into India's urban slums. Here, their proximity to filth and decay is brought into even sharper relief. To the rich who live only a stone's throw away, they seem almost to inhabit a different world. And to raise them up would be impractical, if not impossible.
A lot of our domestic servants, if they live in quarters which are not at all hygienic. They may suffer from any kind of disease, yet we allow them into our kitchens, we allow them into our drawing rooms, we allow them to look after our children, come with us in our cars. Now our drivers come from juggies, which are very, very dirty and full and teeming with illnesses of every kind. All domestic servants, all the poor classes are living in the same situation.
I think it has a lot to do with economic stratification, and I think it has a lot to do with affluence. If you just, lift them, we would treat them as social equals, wouldn't we?
But it's like the situation that the Arabs faced, the Middle East faced. It was straight from the tent to a Rolls Royce. They don't really know how to handle it. There has to be a period of time that has to pass. You have to do it stage by stage.
For thousands of years, the rich and powerful in India have used disgust to justify a system which keeps the poor as virtual slaves. But it doesn't stop there. For disgust is designed both to make us avoid contaminating substances and to eliminate them.
Hatred, disgust, caste, they are practically a different expression of the same reality. You are a Dalit, you don't mind burning him. You have a disgust for him. You don't even go close to him. You don't even touch him. You have a disgust, and because you have a disgust, the immediate question is you hate him.
On occasion, when Dalits have tried to break ranks and demand equal treatment, the consequences have been terrible. Every year, hundreds are beaten, burned, or hanged. Branded as worthless troublemakers, their deaths are rarely investigated.
Disgust has been hijacked by powerful people, and it's been made to stick on poor people or on outsiders as a way of legitimating their own power. So that people who are at the top of the tree stay at the top of the tree by rights because they are pure and wholesome and clean, and the people at the bottom are dirty, filthy and disgusting.
It has become a German institution. Everything here is designed to remind diners of the act of defecation. Instead of napkins, there is toilet paper. Instead of glasses and plates, chamber pots. To some, Das Klo is a one-off, a comic aberration. But to one man, it reflects something deeper. In a country where every toilet has a shelf for the most intimate of examinations, he feels that it is the latest manifestation of a profound German fascination with feces that goes back for centuries.
Not only is this throughout German culture, in German rhymes, children's rhymes, songs, all of it, all celebrating feces and so on, but I found that some of the principal major figures in German culture also had the same proclivity.
Alan Dundes is a world authority on the relationship between a country's folklore and its national identity. He has studied many cultures, but in both India and Germany, his Freudian perspective led him to focus on the cultural importance of feces. Dundes looked into some of the major political, musical and religious figures in German history. He soon established a pattern.
For example, Luther got his idea for the Reformation sitting in a privy. I mean, it could have been somewhere else. He happened to get it at that moment. Mozart, again, one of the greatest musical geniuses of all time, was tremendously scatological.
Mozart's letters reveal an almost pathological fascination with feces. In a letter to his cousin, he wrote,
"Well, I wish you good night, but first shit into your bed and make it burst. Sleep soundly, my love. Into your mouth your ass you'll shove."
And of course, people who've written about these people, they thought these were just peculiarities. What they didn't realize is that it's a standard thing in German culture to be fascinated by and to extol the virtues of anal material.
But this contrasts with another image of Germany, a land of mountains, snow and forest streams. When Adolf Hitler swept to power in 1933, he deliberately ignored the complexities of real-world politics. The first images Nazi propagandists filmed were of this clean, white world. This he held was the natural home of the Aryan, the pinnacle of human evolution. It was a message that was well received by the German population. After the shame and humiliation of the First World War, many Germans were looking for a cleaner, less complicated vision of themselves. Hitler was the perfect man to deliver on that wish. He has become more synonymous with the politics of disgust than any other dictator. In his simple biological view of the world, there was only the good and the bad, the pure and the impure.
I think Hitler was very clever in the way that he used disgust as a propaganda weapon to help keep himself in power. The reason why it worked, unfortunately, is disgust is an infective idea. It's an idea that can be passed from one person to another.
Val Curtis is an epidemiologist at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Her work on disease has led her to analyze the way that disgust is appropriated by the rich and powerful to suit their political ends.
If you look at the speeches of Hitler, he likened Germany to a body, and he regarded outsiders and contaminating people within the body as a threat. So Bolsheviks, for example, and Jews were a threat. And he described them in terms of a disease, in terms of something that had to be of a suppurating sore, that had to be squeezed, that had to be evacuated from the body politic.
The Nazi regime constantly played with the language of disgust.
Because the notion of disease is something that people are comfortable with, the notion of invasion, the notion of the disgust of being invaded by foreign bodies was something that people already understood. Hitler was able to find a resonance between that idea and was able to convince people that a similar process was going on in Germany and that he should deal with what he classified as foreign threats in a similar way to the way in which disease should be dealt with.
Hitler's objective was clear. In a speech on the role of propaganda, he said,
"It was necessary to explain certain matters of foreign policy in such a way that the inner voice of the people would call for violence."
Disgust has been exploited, and it's a very effective means that our leaders have found to make us into armies and get us out there and to kill, because it helps to dehumanize, make people into animals, make the enemy into something less than human, designate it as something contaminated, dirty and dangerous.